What's your secret that you won't tell anyone outside Reddit? Story 1. A few years ago, my dad's truck was broken into, and he lost all of his rings. He had several silver rings, would take them off to drive because the wheel rubbing on the rings was irritating. Forgot them in the truck one day, and they were all stolen. My dad is not the type to accept gifts, especially if it's a replacement for something that was lost due to his own error. Over the years, I've been slowly replacing them, and I'll save up, buy a ring that looks similar to one of the old ones, and then I'll either claim I found it somewhere or leave it for him to find. I replaced two by pretending I found them in the snow while out shoveling. Months later, I left one outside our front door for him to find. It makes him so happy every time one is found. I hope he never finds out I am the one leaving them LOL. Story 2. I'm jealous of the friendships my friends have with each other. I've never felt as close to them as they do with each other. And as a 40-year-old man, I would feel childish admitting this. I just feel like an outsider sometimes, and just wish I had the same kind of bond they do. Man, this answer hit close to home for me. 33 million. All my current friends in my state and across the country have known each other since high school or before. And since I went to 4 different schools growing up, my high school or hometown friends have known each other for even longer. It has made me feel like an outsider and that I don't have as strong a bond with them as they have with each other, which is objectively true. But lately, I've tackled this by making sure that I plan and spend time with my friends on our own terms, having dinner with them and their families, showing up for birthdays, planning golf, fishing, hunting trips, so we can build our friendships. It's been really helpful and has made me feel like I've had an actual impact on those relationships. Not to mention, I've focused on building new friendships as well. I know our situations are probably vastly different, but I hope this helps. Story 3. I ran in a high school track meet once using a tampon, the entire tampon, plastic tube and all. I was so confused on how these were in popular use because, wow, what a pain in the butt. I was trying to keep that little extendable plastic stick from falling out. Why did people like using these things? Former camp counselor here. I'll never forget the year one of our campers came up to the camp director, confused or scared because she had gotten her period, but it was only her second one. The mom had only sent tampons because she needed to still be able to swim, otherwise other people would know she was menstruating, and that's unseemly. The poor girl had never used one before and was worried that her mom would be angry at her, so she refused to use the pads we had. Long story short, the camp director, another counselor, and myself, she asked for us because she was most comfortable with us, had to take out a tampon and show her how it worked, pull the applicator back, listen for the click, push the applicator, etc. We then had to stand outside the stalls to guard the main bathroom door and provide emotional support because she was too scared to do it without us being nearby and was absolutely mortified at the idea of anyone walking into the bathroom while this was going on. It was ultimately a success, but I'll never forget that. The areas of women's health and products have such an educational gap, and that needs to be fixed. And in the meantime, approach education with compassion. Don't assume knowledge is inherent. And most importantly, don't be a jerk to your kids. Story 4. My life expectancy is less than a year. My friends and family think I'm antisocial, but actually I spend most of my time in bed. I don't want to tell anyone, and I don't know why. Thank you to those who responded. Some gave me some things to think about. My ex-husband's dad was terminal for a year and didn't tell us. We didn't find out until he ended up on his deathbed. It absolutely broke me in ways I couldn't have imagined. I would have loved to have the choice to make time to spend more time with him. It's hard when life is busy to prioritize everyone, but I would have loved to have known to prioritize him more. I miss him dearly still, even 8 years later. I even gave my son his name, but God, I don't think I'll ever get over him not telling us. However, it did teach me a very hard lesson on how you never know someone. Story 5. Just about every day when I'm in the car headed to work, I genuinely contemplate just driving off and leaving everything behind. My fantasy is heading all the way to Alaska, living in a motel room and washing dishes for work. I can't go through with it because I have people counting on me. Yes, I am in therapy. I think about this every day too. I have nothing tying me down in my town, besides family like mom, dad, and brother. I recently broke up with my girlfriend of years. She took the dog. I live in a spare room at my bro's, so I don't even have a lease or property. I have a truck that's paid off and a decent sales job. That's it. I think about leaving work every day and just going driving off into the sunset and not stopping until I run out of gas in some crap hole town. Story 6. Back when we were dating, my wife found out I'd never had a surprise birthday party before. She really wanted to throw one for me, which I was okay with. Only one problem: it never worked. She'd try almost every year, throwing surprise parties for other occasions. Each time, as she was planning stuff, I'd pick up on some discrepancy in her cover story, or pick up on something that a friend said, ask about it, and she'd be unable to cover it. Then, finally, after years and years of this, she pulled it off. She was delighted and so proud that she at last managed to surprise me. She's talked about it for years, about how close I came to uncovering it. It made her so happy, and it was a lot of fun. Except what actually happened is, I finally managed to be quick enough putting the pieces together to stop myself before I asked about the discrepancy in her cover story. Played dumb, pretended I had no idea. I was surprised when the day came. She will never know. Story 7. I once sat in a sauna at the gym, contemplating what to do in life. Just in one of those moments in life where the road ahead was unclear, a man walked in who was 30 plus years older than me and sat down. Just the two of us were there. I felt this strong urge to ask him for his advice. What his regrets in life were, if he were in his 20s again, what would he do differently, etc. But my social anxiety and general fear of men kept me quiet. I've always regretted it. I think sometimes life puts opportunities in our path to learn and grow, and missing any of them due to something like social anxiety is such a waste. Story 8. Sometimes I get up in the morning, shower, get ready, and then get back into bed and pretend to be sleeping just so my daughter can run into our room and wake me up. She's 7 and still loves waking me up in the morning to get my day started by seeing her face first. I pray that I will never know a day that doesn't start like this. Hell yeah. Parents should remind themselves that there will be a literal last time that their kid ever wakes them up giggling, a last time that they ever pick their child up and swing them around, a last time they ever give them a shoulder ride at a parade, or play groundies at the park, or build a fort with them. And they won't know at the time that it's the last time it will ever happen. So, treasure every moment with your kids, people. When I'm feeling overworked and don't want to deal with putting my kids to bed or driving to school to pick them up or doing homework with them or whatever, I just imagine myself in 30 years and how I'll be willing to give anything to go back in time for one more bedtime story, or drive home from school while they tell me about their day, or evening with them practicing their lines with me for the school play, or to have one more snuggle in the fort. It instantly puts everything in perspective and brings me completely, gratefully back into the moment with them. Story 9. My mother died in childbirth. I was a child. There was a photo my dad kept on the mantle. He's got my sister hoisted up on his shoulders. He's looking out of breath and nervous. He set the timer on the camera and wasn't sure of the settings. My mother stood next to him, his arm around her, and she's looking up at them and laughing. She looks young, happy, and very pregnant. When I was about 7, I destroyed it. He turned the house upside down looking for it. Eventually, he thought it was stolen for the silver frame, toured the pawn shops, and banned me and my sister from having visitors. Story 10. I'm very happily married, but I do think about someone from the past almost every day. I have received secondhand confirmation that this person asks about me from time to time. They lied to save face and said I stopped responding to their messages when I got married, but that is probably false. I know some of the social media posts they make are intended for me, clues as to where they are and what they're doing and where they live now. Knowing our shared past, I'd bet money on it. I love that they are thinking of me too, but I'd never act on it. I respect my spouse too much to act, and I think it's safer to keep people perfect in your mind than let them be imperfect in reality. Story 11. My fiance loves to sing around the house, but only when I'm not there or can't hear. She has the most beautiful voice and incredible vocal ability. My secret? When I have my headphones on around the house, she'll sometimes call out to me and I'll pretend I can't hear her at all. She'll often start singing and I turn my headphones off so I can hear her properly. It's been 4 years and she still doesn't know that I purposely ignore her so I can listen to her. Story 12. This particular story from my school days. I was in second grade, dumb as a rock. Our school was taking us to a nearby auditorium for some event. My class teacher announced that if anyone needed to pee, they need to pee from here, because no one will be allowed to go to the washroom while in the auditorium. OFC, they would have allowed us if we really wanted to go. That stuck in my mind. Halfway through the 3 hour or so event, I really have to pee, but I hold it in. Almost an hour later, the urge is uncontrollable. So I do it, right there. I peed in my pants knowingly, because I was too scared to ask my teacher. I won't lie, it felt embarrassing at first, and even afterwards. But while peeing, there was this one moment of utter bliss that didn't last more than a few seconds. But that moment there, I can't really describe how disgustingly good that felt. Story 13. A coworker told a pretty funny story about them crapping themselves. He left work early because of feeling sick to his stomach. He was 10 minutes from his driveway when bubble guts hit. He lives pretty rural and stopped on the side of the 2-lane road and saw a bridge with some cover. Stopped and made a mad dash for it. Said he got down there and painted the walls of this culvert. He's in a state park, mind you. The culvert was part of a small river that connected on each side, which was a popular place for kayakers. And wouldn't you know it, a couple of kayakers were stopped and had watched him blow crap all over the place. When he turned around, he was wiping his butt with his underwear, making eye contact with these kayakers. He said he finished wiping and pulled his pants up and ran back to his car, leaving his dirty crap underwater on the side of the road. Said he never drove somewhere faster than he did that afternoon. Story 14. I'm in love with my best friend. I told her 2 years ago that I wanted to take her on an actual date, and she told me she just wanted to be friends. After that, it was a couple weeks of her not really talking to me, and then unfortunately, she had an accident. The accident resulted in problems partially impacting both long and short-term memory. I didn't ask if she remembered our conversation, and we more or less went back to the way things were, other than her telling me the same adorable stories over and over again, multiple times. Story 15. From age 12 to about age 15, I used to basically spend every free minute I had on a 10-speed bike. I used to ride 100 plus miles every Saturday like it was no big deal. This was the hilly areas of Pennsylvania, where flat stretches of land are unknown. So I had the legs of a god and the stamina of, well, someone who could ride a bike 100 miles casually. Sophomore year, gym class, they made us run a mile for gym, timed laps and all. We had to do a mile in less than 20 minutes. So I figured, screw it, and sprinted. You spend all your free time biking. I just figured, why not? Crushed the high school's mile record by almost 10 seconds. But since it wasn't official, the gym coach asked me if I'd come and run it officially a few days later. Officially set the record. I said, sure. Why the heck not? It would take me a day or so to fully recover, but why not? I was given the why not. Later in the afternoon, I jumped from behind. A bag was thrown over my head and I got my butt brutally kicked. I was told that if a nerd like me dared to run for the record, they'd break my legs and arms. I was kicked several times in the lower back, and to this day I have severe back pain when it gets cold and damp. Went to the office and they dismissed it as, well, we can't do anything about it. We don't know who it was. It was the 80s. Security cameras in school? Absolutely nothing done. They marked up as, what can you do? When anyone ever says, our school stopped bullying, I doubt. I had a choice. Give up on the record, or spend the next few years constantly in fear. So yeah, anyone who says high school was the best time of their life was one of the bullies, or lying. Story 16. I have a good memory and often remember birthdays and details of people they say in passing. People ask if I write it down, and I say no. Truth is, I occasionally do because I think it's a bit rude to forget things people told me. While I do write stuff down, I may look at it every once and again. Another one, I told someone I can't recall meeting them, nor can they remember meeting me. They said jokingly they must not be memorable. Truth is, I don't remember meeting her, but I do recall seeing her for the first time and knowing she was the prettiest girl in the room. It was months before I learned who she was, and even more months before I think we actually talked to each other. I don't think we were formally introduced. I think we just knew who the other was. Story 17. This is a weird one for me. I was treated badly as a child, think kindergarten age, by a local teenager, and I did not tell anyone at the time. He repeated this behavior with some girls a few years younger than me, as they also came into kindergarten age, and he was also briefly in trouble for being intimate with a girl his own age. None of this ever stuck to him, and he has never suffered any real consequence. He has a below average IQ, but he is not so impaired that he didn't know what he was doing. He has a job as a store cashier in my hometown, and once waited for my mom to walk away from us to wink at me when I was in my 20s, decades later. He clearly remembers who he hurt, that it was wrong, and enjoys using it to continue hurting us. All of that, several people know. My partner and some of my close friends, my mom now that I'm an adult. I always said I couldn't tell my father because he might hurt or even end the guy, and I didn't want that. The secret is that my father does know now, and I deeply resent his absolutely nothing reaction. He's still friendly with the guy's father and never said anything to him about it. He essentially never acknowledged or referenced it again after the first conversation. Obviously, I wasn't hoping for him to get violent or anything, but I thought there might be even a little righteous anger or loyalty to me over a man who knew what his son was doing and made excuses for him at the time. Instead, it seems like the whole thing made him uncomfortable, and he's tried to forget about it. I look at him differently now, and I don't know if I can recover from that and see him the way I did before. Story 18. Never ever will I tell my sister how insanely jealous I am that she had the wedding I never did. This is not because she got the big party and all that hoopla, or because she had a beautiful dress. It's because Dad got to walk her down the aisle. She got her daughter daddy dance. There was none of that for me. My father was diagnosed in the fall of 2014 with cancer, and I was engaged that Christmas. We were wed Monday, April 13th, 2015, and that Friday, Dad was gone. I made the last thing he'd ever eat, French toast. My first meal cooked as a married woman was his last as my father. Gone were the dreams of the summer solstice wedding in my mother's beautiful garden. One of the hardest points was that particular year. The summer solstice was also Father's Day. She'll never know. Screw you, Cancer. Story 19. I know my wife doesn't love me. I have conformed to what she wants: cook, clean, bedtime stories for kids, pretty much anything to keep her content without getting any affection. I do it because we have 4 kids. 2 of them are girls from her previous marriage. If we split, and we almost did, I wouldn't be able to see our girls as much, if at all, and I would only see my boys a few days a week. That is out of the question for me. My kids are literally my reason to exist in life. I take 0 minutes for granted every day since our separation. I fear what I'll have to look forward to when they grow up and move out or away. Story 20. I'm in love with a college teacher from another department, and I regret not dating him while we were students before he got to work as a teacher in uni, and now he's happily married with someone else. I never really got over him, and I still hope they get a divorce or something, because I feel he only uses her for work abroad. I daydream about us dating and enjoying life and being intimate together, but fate never gave us a chance. I still think about him till this day. He married his former student, by the way. Former cause, now she's his wife. Time flies. I was 17, he was 19 when we first met, and now we're both 27 and 29. He married her at 24. I still regret the chances I didn't take. They're probably having a baby anytime soon. Story 21. I'm so insanely lazy. I don't ever want to do anything. Ever. I'm perfectly happy just eating THC gummies and watching TV scroll on my phone. I work third shift at a group home and mostly nap or watch TV on the couch while the girls sleep. There's only about 2 or 3 hours I spend with them when they're awake out of the entire 12-hour shift. I only work 3 nights a week on the weekends. The rest of the time, I'm at home by myself while my partner's at work and my son is at school. I do bare minimum house chores most of the time, just enough to get by. My home is just a little messy most of the time. Never filthy or anything, though. I don't cook. My partner's happy doing all the cooking. I usually do cleanup, though. But anyway, my point is that yes, there are things I do. It's just the bare minimum. The least amount of work I can do is what I will always choose to do. I love relaxing and chilling more than pretty much anything else in this world. I just don't have the drive to do much of anything else. I try to walk an hour on the treadmill most days, but it usually turns out to only be a few days a week. I like to take a nice hike on a beautiful day. I do yoga here and there. I go grocery shopping, but I am almost always stoned when I do so. I get stoned for chores too. I'm pretty much always some level of stoned. So, yeah, I guess that's my secret. I am a lazy stoner and am perfectly happy being this way.